Hey everyone, it's Monday the 27th. I want to share a story about what happened to me yesterday on Sunday the 26th. It kind of kept me up a little bit this morning. I couldn't sleep. 5 a.m. I was tossing and turning. You know what? I'm going to get up. And I normally get up a little later, but this interaction I had with the police yesterday was a little bit disturbing. And I'm sure a lot of other people are dealing with it. It was interaction that I had at Chipotle. Uh, Chipotle is okay. They have the sofritas bowl and good guac. And I'm doing my taxes and lawful money, so I don't have time to really prepare a meal. So I ordered a takeout meal from Chipotle. Ordered online. I like to pay cash everywhere I can, but that's apparently how you do it if you can't wear a mask or don't want to wear a mask. So had to pay online via credit card. I show up. And what I didn't realize is you're supposed to call them and ask them to bring your food to your car if you're not going to wear a mask. Again, I rarely go there. And so I go in, I get my food off of the shelf there. And, I wasn't wearing a mask and I didn't think it'd be a big deal. I'm in there for like literally 10 seconds, and there's hardly anyone in there. There's like one customer. And so they say, this guy stops me on the way out. He goes, "Hey, you have to come, next time you come in here, you have to wear a mask or you cannot come into our place anymore." I said, "Well, I have a medical condition. I'm exempt, but thank you." And he said, "No, we're a private club and we can refuse business to anyone we want." And I said, "So you're not aware of Civil Code 51.7, which says that you cannot discriminate against anyone. Any business cannot discriminate against someone based on their race, color, creed, medical condition, etc." And then by this time, the guy in line with a mask said something like, "Hey, we all don't want to wear a mask, but you know." And I said, "Thank you, okay." Anyways, I said, "You know what? I feel like you're discriminating and harassing me, and I'm going to call the sheriff." And he said, "Go ahead." And so I said, "All right." So I went to my car, I called the sheriff. Now, what I was hoping for was to speak with a deputy and just say, "Hey, I'm being discriminated against and harassed down here at Chipotle. What do you advise I do? Is there some sort of action I could take to maybe tell them that, hey, the sheriff has my back on this issue," that kind of thing. But what happened was they transferred the call to my local police. So the police, 3 cars show up and I got swarmed. In a minute they show up, and I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting at the very most maybe one officer comes out and provides some guidance. So they show up and they had a bad vibe. They had this sort of like mask that looked like a workout t-shirt pulled up over their nose. All you could see is these cold eyes. And you see guns and tasers, and they're keeping their distance. It was just the most impersonal, disturbing interaction. And I just said, I can't wear a mask I have a medical condition. And I didn't even need to say that. I don't even need to say I have a medical condition. I showed them all the paperwork I bring out with me, which is ridiculous in itself. You have to bring paperwork wherever you go now to assert your rights. But I showed them that California 51.7, I told them what that was, and I showed them the actual county health order that shows that it says you're exempt if you have trouble breathing with a mask and if you're a child under 2. All you have to have is a trouble breathing with a mask, period. And you don't even have to have a medical condition. It says here, it says from the San Francisco Department of Public Health, it says in the CDC, I have all the printouts and my local health order. And they all clearly say all you have to do is you have trouble breathing in a mask and you're exempt, period, end of story. So I recommend you print up these forms, the CDC, your local health order, in the San Francisco Department of Public Health, which is a big public health agency for the state and the country. Anyways, these cops were no help at all. They saw me as an enemy combatant. and they looked like they were looking for any excuse to have a conflict. And I was just standing my ground. I was just saying, listen, they can't do this. Now what I should have said, that I will post a video on this, is I should have asserted the fact that they are a private club, yes, private business entity, but they're operating in the public. They're offering public accommodations. And so I should have said that to this Chipotle worker. I said, yeah, you guys are private, but you're offering public accommodations. You're not like some private country club. And then I also should have told these officers, oh, there's a beautiful butterfly. I I also should have told these officers the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and use the religious thing. And so that is one of the topics I wanted to bring up. Is now what I'm saying is, if anyone asks, I am exempt for religious and medical reasons. And again, the medical reason, you don't have to have asthma or COPD or some legitimate medical condition. You can just have trouble breathing, and that causes you anxiety or distress, or you feel confined, and that causes you to maybe have a panic attack or something like that. So it can be as small as you just have trouble breathing in a mask. Now, there's going to be people who will say, well, everyone has trouble breathing in a mask. Yeah, so don't wear a mask. If you have trouble breathing, you don't have to wear a mask. They clearly say in their orders, which are not law, statutory laws, they clearly say you're exempt if you have trouble breathing. That's all it has to be. We just need people to stand up for their rights. And these are, the people that are not afraid of this exosomal response marker that the body makes when it's under toxic stress. The cells, release these exosomes. So you have to first see the big picture here that I've been posting on for months, and many other people have, that this was a planned thing. It's not so much about a virus and keeping you healthy. It's about totalitarian control and psychological and spiritual warfare. And the mask is the first thing for them to get into the door, and the next thing is going to be temperature checks, testing, and vaccinations. And so if they can get their foot in the door with the masks and get that public acceptance, well, they're probably going to get the public acceptance for everything else too. And immunity passports and things like that, all these ridiculous things that are becoming more normalized now because people are operating under a state of fear rather than common sense and logic. And so going back to this story, so the cops basically said, all you can do is sue them in civil court. Because I kept going back to California Civil Code 51.7, which says that you can't discriminate against someone. You can't kick them out of your business, whether it's private or not, based on them having a medical condition. And so they would not. They're like, listen, we're not going to go in there and tell them that you can eat in there. We're not going to do that. And I said, okay, well, I don't expect you to do that, but I do expect you to have my back, and provide me guidance and direction on what I can tell them, maybe, that hey, you can't kick me out, something like that. Have my back. They didn't have my back at all, and they these are public servants, but they serve the corporate structure, like a lot of people have been saying for a long time. And this just really was right in front of me. I haven't had an interaction with a police officer like that in a while. I've had some interactions, but nothing like that, where they were looking for some sort of scene. They were looking for me to be the crazy guy at Chipotle with the vegan bumper stickers, who is combative. Anyways, they kept saying all you can do is sue them in civil court, and that's all. We can't do anything. We can't do anything to help you. I said, okay. Now, what I'm curious is if I would have told them that I can't wear a mask for religious reasons and they're discriminating against me, and the 1964 Civil Rights Act is my protection from that discrimination. I'm curious what would have happened if I would have said that. but this is a learning lesson that we can pass on, so someone else in the next situation who refuses to wear a mask for a scamdemic, that it's not about protecting public health. We've done multiple posts on how ineffective masks are, how unreliable, faulty the testing is, the false positives, and how this virus is, in my opinion, and many doctors' opinions as well, an actual exosome, which is a disease or toxic cell. Even Dr. Sebi said that. And so, you can't pass a diseased or toxic cell to someone else. Now, you can disagree with me. That's fine. I don't have energy to disagree and fight with people on this. The main thing is, if you're concerned about your health, you should really be eating the right foods and exercising and getting sun and drinking a lot of clean water and thinking good thoughts and turning off your TV. And if it's all about being healthy, you need to take care of your health. And I'm not responsible for your health. Me wearing a mask is not going to do anything. And if your mask works so well, then you should have nothing to worry about, right? Same thing with the vaccine. If vaccines work so well, I shouldn't need one. You should be able to get one and feel safe. Okay. Okay. Didn't mean to sound like that, but you know what I mean? So, so this story, I want to just bring awareness to what can happen if you call the police. They're not going to have your back. And a lot of times we're seeing police being called by the stores because people refuse to wear masks, and then they're coming in, and the people are getting kicked out of stores because they don't have their paperwork, they don't know their rights, they don't know the exemptions, and the cops are just, again, backing up the corporate structures. They're not backing up the we the people. It's very rare if they do have we the people's back. I'm sure there are some good cops out there. There's some good sheriffs. You're hearing some stories about sheriffs who are not going to enforce these unlawful orders. And I know our Sheriff Essick here in Sonoma County is one of those. And that's why I called the sheriff, because I was hoping to speak with, not him, but that would be great if I could, but maybe a deputy who is under the same jurisdiction of that sheriff and who would have the same sort of enforcement, protocols. So if you call the cops, not bad idea. Call the sheriff and learn what your sheriff's stance is on these unlawful orders, which are not statutory law to wear a mask. There's no statutory law that says you have to wear a mask. There's no law that's gone through the legislative process that says you must wear a mask in public. Or these private clubs, these Trader Joe's and everything like that. These places are public accommodations, and if you look at their, if you go to their websites and stuff, you'll find where they have clear language. I have it right here for Trader Joe's and Costco, where they have clear language that says you don't have to wear a mask if you have trouble breathing or if you have a medical condition. And so that is a fact. Now, you're going to have to deal with people inside, obviously, who are uncomfortable around you because they're so bought in. They've bought into the fear and the propaganda from the pharma cartel media, mainstream media. And that's a really sad thing because that's dividing our society. But people walking around in fear with their face covered, expressionless, and dehumanized, that's not very, uniting. That's very divisive, and that's in itself, it's a divisive act to shield your face and, basically it's a muzzle, and you're basically saying, I will do what they tell me to do, and I will muzzle myself and be an expressionless zombie for a hoax, for a completely planned thing that is less deadly than seasonal flu. It's just, and it's completely a scam in every single way, because we've been lied to about so many things. And so if it was a real pandemic, you wouldn't need to lie about it. It would just be, man, hospitals are overloaded. People are dying everywhere. This is a crazy thing. We really need to you know what I mean? It's not like that. And we all know that. So call find out the sheriff's policies, okay? And see if he's going to have your back or not. And then if you are being discriminated against in a private business, you need to tell them, but you guys are offering public accommodation, so it doesn't matter if you're private or not. Okay, so that's the first thing you could tell them. And if they're still going to discriminate you despite that, and if they're going to violate the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and if they're going to violate these clear exemptions that have been put in through your county health order and the CDC and the San Francisco Department of Public Health, these clear exemptions that they're violating, if these private businesses are going to discriminate against you and tell you to get out, well, then you can file a civil lawsuit, and and they will lose, and they will have to pay all your lawyer fees. So, if we don't stand up for our rights right now, no one will. And this is the big thing: is we have to get a little bit uncomfortable. We have to go through uncomfortable things, like to get somewhere. From chaos comes clarity. You have to jump right in at this time. Okay, they've created this chaotic society that is divisive and based on fear rather than logic and common sense and science. That is clear that they are completely manipulating this whole situation to be something way worse than it is, and that creates fear and panic and anxiety. And that is really the virus. The virus is the deception and the lies and the propaganda. That is the virus. And so we should be trying to be immune to that instead of wearing masks and complying to those unlawful, unsubstantiated, completely unnecessary mandates and orders and ordinances. So they are pushing right now to see how much they can get away with. And when we comply tacitly, we give our agreement to contract with them. And so we're saying, yes, they're throwing out this contract, this offer to contract with us, right? Everything's contract law. And when we comply, we're saying, yeah, we will contract with you. We're taking that as an offer, and we're accepting the offer. And what I'm saying is, I don't accept this offer. So I'm throwing a counter offer at this whole system and this whole society right now. And you can join me and counter offer as well. You just have to know what to say. Everything is words. First, there was the word. And they're using wordplay to manipulate us right now. And so that's why I have all these forms here laminated. The cop even mocked my forms. He's like, I could see you, bring your forms, your papers everywhere. He mocked me, and he's like, oh, I've been doing this for 7 years. I know what I'm talking about, man. And he was threatened by the fact that I knew what California Civil Code 51.7 was, and that I had this paperwork printed up. He was expecting me to, I don't know what he's expecting, but he was an egotistical, arrogant, bad energy. So everything, going back to contracts, is they're contracting with us right now. They're offering to contract with us, and those who are complying and wearing masks and gloves and spraying bleach and toxic sanitizers on everything and living in a state of fear, which depletes your immune system and creates an acidic environment, which makes you more ripe for illness and disease. They are the virus, and I'm not going to contract with that. I'm not going to contract with what I deem as the virus, which is the deception and the cunning evil and tyranny that we are facing. And oh, it's not tyranny. It's not tyranny. What are you talking about? You don't know what tyranny is. You don't know what slavery is. It's anything that goes against, that violates the property of a sentient being, is a violation of natural law. And my property is my body. And if you're violating my property by telling me to mask myself and dehumanize myself, you're violating my property rights, which is a violation of natural law, which I do not contract to, okay? And you shouldn't either if you have studied contract law and natural law. And this is God's law. This is the Creator Yahweh's laws, okay? And there's no higher law, okay, period. And I am a representative of Yahweh, and I'm here to represent the Creator. And the Creator has put in place natural laws that will be more understood as we go along here, because they've been purposely suppressed and replaced with man's law and maritime law and admiralty law, which is based on contracts and commerce, okay? And those are laws of the sea. Those are laws of the fallen ones. And they're trying to bring us into their jurisdiction. And we are born on the land, most of us are at least. And the laws of the land are, I'm under God's jurisdiction only. And under God's jurisdiction is basically natural law. And so you look at natural law, you can't violate the property rights of sentient beings who experience a subjective view of reality and experience pleasure, happiness, anxiety, pain, sadness, etc. Okay? And so these are violations of natural law, okay? To wear a mask and then to get the shot and to have a swab test and all these testing, these are violations of your property, period. If you do not consent to it, and they're coercing or forcing you or intimidating you into violating your property rights, it's a violation of natural law. Okay, so this goes above any of these statutes or civil codes or anything. This is way above that. And so try to see it spiritually in that sense. And so that takes me back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and this new angle we can take into not wearing masks in public places. Even if they're private, they're still public accommodation. Is saying, I am religiously exempt because it's against my religion to wear a mask. And if you're discriminating against me for my religion, then you're violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Okay? And I am going to use that as my response when people ask me, why aren't you wearing a mask? That I am exempt due to a medical condition and a religious exemption. Okay? And what's your medical condition? I have trouble breathing. I was born, the Creator gave me this, the oxygen to breathe and carbon dioxide to breathe out freely. I wasn't born with a mask. There's nothing that says we have to wear a mask to be healthy and happy and free. And so this is God's law, to be able to wear a mask and show your expression. And a smile helps people. A smile helps people feel better, and it comforts people and lets them know that everything will be okay despite all the anxiety and tyranny and deception, and these are all, and the suffering, the economic devastation, all the stuff that we're going through, and all this psychological manipulation and mind control is from the fallen ones. It's from the fallen ones. Check out the book of Enoch. I'm really getting into it, and you can see how we are just, it translates to when we visited the Mayan temples. These shapeshifters, they can come in and out of the human body, and they can manipulate, and they thrive on suffering, and they need sacrifice and blood to so it's all connected, and we can either follow the lead of these fallen ones and their corrupt matrix Babylonian system, or we can follow God's laws, the Creator's laws, and be in harmony with natural law. And this whole thing, everything I post about, what we eat, our nutrition, what we put in our body, the vaccines, the masks, it's all ties back to natural law and property rights. Property rights. We have the right to stand up when anyone is violating our property rights. Okay? And it's now that we need to stand up, because they are pushing us to the limit. And if we do nothing, if we do not push back lawfully, peacefully, civil disobedience, then they're going to keep pushing us, and it's going to be a world that is uninhabitable to live in, unrecognizable for our children, and unsafe for our children to grow up in. And that, I have 3 kids, and I'm doing this selfishly for me, because I deserve to live free as God created me to live free, and my children, who will outlive me, hopefully live long lives. And I want the world that they're living in to not be this tyrannical, beast system run by the fallen ones and their minions, clones, and hybrid excuses for humans. Okay, operating under corporate governments, which always results in some form of slavery to sentient beings. And so this is a spiritual war, and wearing a mask goes against my religion because wearing a mask violates my natural right, my property. It violates my property, and that's a violation of under natural law. Okay, so that's it. It's a spiritual thing. It's a religious thing. So it's a legitimate thing. So I have two exemptions that are absolutely legitimate. My medical condition is I have trouble breathing in a mask that causes me anxiety. I need oxygen to breathe. And if you have that as well and you can't breathe in a mask, you have a right not to wear it. It says it again right in their orders. Okay. And the other thing is the religious, due to I am following God's law, not man's law. Okay. And under God's law, I have rights to breathe oxygen, and I have rights to body autonomy, and so do you. Okay, and so do your kids. So now's the time, everyone. Now is the time to stand up for your rights, and I'm gonna share what I know, what I'm studying. People who are teaching me, my friends who are studying, and they're teaching me. We're all teaching each other now. Okay, we're all leaders leading each other. And we have to stick together. And those who are going to follow the lead of deception and fear and the fallen ones, you know, I'll pray for you, but at this point, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. And, that's not a divisive thing to say. That's just reality. And in either you're with us or you're against us at this point, you kind of have to choose a side. You're going to be on the side of tyranny or you're going to be on the side of freedom. It's your choice, okay? And I just would hope that this would somewhat inspire and inform and motivate others to do the same and to follow these steps. I recommend, again, looking up the health orders in your county, look up the San Francisco Department of Public Health, and look up the CDC. I did a post on all these forums with the links previously. I can maybe send them again. And then print up this new one for the legal notice of California Civil Rights Act of 1964. And then again, focus on the fact that there are exemptions saying you can't, if you have trouble breathing, you're exempt. Okay, and know that even if they're a private business and if they're offering offering public accommodation, they're offering public accommodation. So we really just need to know what to say. We need to be prepared, and the time is now to draw the line. If we let them walk all over us and continue to make these mandates like they're doing, it's going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Our county supervisors are trying to, they are the worst, the county supervisors. They are the absolute worst. They are full Agenda 21 minions, our Sonoma County Board of Supervisors. They are pushing our climate action plans and Agenda 21 protocols into our county. They haven't done anything about 5G, and now they're trying to fine people for not wearing masks in public. And so we're going to file more notices of liability once we finish this one with our city council and 5G. But everything is contracts, and everything is based on God's law, and that's the highest law of the land is God's law, natural law. Okay, God's law, natural law, contract law. Okay, and then below that there's common law, and then all the other ones, the laws of the sea, which do not apply to us since we are not lost at sea. I was born on the land. I'm not lost at sea, so I don't have to. I'm not under the jurisdiction of Admiralty and Maritime law, this Roman international Vatican sort of laws. We just have to know who we are. We have to know who we are, where we are, what our rights are, and have the right forms and have the right words in our mind ready to express, to tell people. And the more we study this, if we can pull ourselves out of this slavery that we're self-enslaving ourselves with for lack of knowledge, then we can pull the animals out. then we can pull out our friends and family as well. It starts with us, really, is the most important thing. So we have to not completely just bend over for this agenda with the masks. All right? Much love.